But anyway, we are moving into game number 2. It's going to be XT's Cowman versus zergosu team's Filho, and it's a Protoss versus Protoss. So pretty interesting. XT's Cowman is very good at Protoss versus Protoss. I think I've only seen him lose one, and I've honestly seen him I've casted him, I want to say like half a dozen times. And I'm trying to think who won the first game. I think it was XT, but I'm not sure. I'll have to check on that. Like I said, there was a lot of issues between the games, so apologize. But anyway, Cowman spawning in the bottom right-hand corner here as the blue Protoss here on Newkirk Precinct. And in the bottom left-hand side, spawning in for Zerg Gosu team, it is Filho. All right, let's see. Whew, okay, so streams should be coming off of the actual, the 2-minute delay server and coming up in a second. So we're just trying to make sure everything's working. Hopefully it is. It was updating in real time. And so far, it doesn't look like we have anything crazy going on in production. Both players started their pylon, no proxies, nothing really crazy at all. This map, extremely good for Stargate play, of course, because of the big open air distance where they can't really see you coming. Now, Mothership, of course, negate that a little bit, but we'll have to see what the two players are going to be aiming for on this map. But I would not be surprised to see at least one of them going Stargate. Both players moving out into their naturals at pretty much the exact same time, just scouting around, seeing if there are any proxies. Filho heading across the map, while it looks like Cowman is a little bit more looking for proxies. He heads up along the northern route, which lots of the times you'll see proxies right here, so kind of makes sense why he would be heading up that way. All right, let's see. Sorry, popping out chat so I can actually see stuff as well. Okay, cool. Looks like stream is up and running. It just popped up. Great. All right, so that's all good news. Cybernetics core is going down for both players. Scouts getting into bases. On each side, everybody knows what the other team is doing. And absolutely no deviation really between the two builds right now. Looks like Cowman is just slightly behind on his Cybernetics core. Not sure what led to that. Income's pretty much the exact same. Both of them have 3 on gas and the same number of probes, so really entirely mirror at this point. And Twitch is being fickle again. It won't load chat for me, but that's okay. Maybe it'll think it up later. All right, so Filho just kind of walking around in the base. Cybernetics core's done. We have no tech deviation though yet, so we still haven't seen what the players are planning on going. It's all very standard opening right now. All right, and we have a probe kind of moving into off positions for both players, actually. Both of them look like they're going to proxy their tech and hide it. And Stargate's starting up in both of these locations. I guess they're just both scouting for the proxy tech, but both of them are driven out. Mothership core is passing in the night in the south, so they're going to head in to both locations and be able to see that the Stargates are up. Like I said, it's very standard for Protoss versus Protoss on this map to go straight into Stargates. Just, it's so good on this map. Oh, Mothership core looks like it almost, wow, one shot off being picked off there, getting away with 4 HP and using energy. And the Mothership core on the other side, a little bit luckier in getting away. It doesn't actually need to use its energy to get away, so now it's going to have enough for Photon Overcharge coming up here in not too long. There's a proxy pylon up in the north there for Cowman. And Filho's position at the third looks like he may want to proxy as well. Oracle coming out for one side, and Phoenixes for the other. Phoenixes, of course, are going to defend and kill that Oracle pretty quickly. But if they're out and around the map or get driven off, It's going to be a pretty scary situation for probes. Both players starting their expansions pretty much the exact same time. Very, very mirrored match thus far. Only difference right now is an Oracle versus Phoenixes. And now Phoenixes are starting up for Filho, so really no difference between the builds besides one Oracle. And oh, the Phoenix is going out of position actually right as the Oracle is coming into the base. It might actually be able to deal some damage. How many is it going to pick off? One, two. It's only gotten two so far, and the Phoenixes are coming back in. Looks like a third one almost going down. The third one does go down. That's pretty pricey for an Oracle, though. Only 3 probes is not what you want to be pulling off with that Oracle. Pretty big investment. He did lose a decent amount of mining time, and he does have to correctly micro his probes back into their locations. Looks like one of the gases was wasted. Very sad. Gas boxes being carried by one of the probes. And more Phoenixes still coming out for both sides. Cowman is ahead on Phoenix count, but he's the one being aggressive right now, so that's not a good situation to be in. Defender's advantage, of course. He's going to be able to repel that. Filho is standing strong here at his at his main, with 3 stalkers and a mothership core. Pretty soon that mothership core is going to be able to get picked off really fast by the Phoenixes, though, so he needs to really be watching that and at least get the photon overcharge up as it's dying, at the very least. And the expansions are down for both players. Now a second Stargate starting up for Filho, though, so it looks like he's going to be going really heavy airplay, outproducing on Phoenixes, and then maybe getting some really good economic damage with all that energy, but we'll have to see. A few sentries over there for Cowman. That's kind of interesting. He didn't really see a lot of warp gates or anything. He only saw these 2. I'm not really sure why he's so concerned in building sentries, but Phoenix counts out on the field right now is 6-5, so Cowman is just barely in the lead, but Filho is going to start outproducing that now, since he's going to be building 2 at a time out of these starports, or these Stargates. And there's the second Stargate for Cowman. This game is insanely mirrored. Filho still hasn't dropped a proxy pylon or anything, so he doesn't want to really get aggressive. He's just playing defensive, building up a bunch of Phoenixes. He'll probably head out here pretty soon, assuming he has overwhelming Phoenix numbers. But we'll have to see. Hallucinated Phoenix coming across the field here for Cowman. And it is positioning itself. It's going to see a lot of Phoenix, and he's got to know that's got to be more than 1 gate worth of production, because it looks like more than he has. So they were pretty stacked up, though, so we'll have to see. Fleet Beacon going down as well. And is it going to be straight into carriers? Or does he just really want the range upgrade? We'll have to see. Both players' economies straight up, the same amount of probes, the same amount of supply until just one little tick ago. This game is so mirrored, it's insane. All right, so here's some aggression coming out of Filho finally. He is done being defensive. He's going to scoot across the field. We have some tech going down for Cowman. All right, now he's going to turn around, though. But we do have some tech coming out of Cowman. His fleet beacon just finished, and now we have the forge, which is probably going to be going shield upgrades. First engagement right here. It's going to back off. The Phoenixes see that there's a whole bunch of other Phoenixes and photon overcharge, of course, defender's advantage. You're not going to want to engage into that. But now both players are going to have really, really mobile armies, and there's not really a way for them to duke it out at their bases. So, all right, so Phoenixes coming up look like they may be trying to position to go towards the natural here, being out in the middle. But Cowman's going to scoot out and see if he can find his opponent. And here comes the big engagement right now. First Phoenix going down for Filho, but it looks like the count is still maybe just barely in his favor with that reinforcing Phoenix. He is a little scared, though. He's not exactly sure of the numbers because they're very, very clumped up. So he's going to back across the map. Another Phoenix being picked off there by Cowman. Very nice control. 3 Phoenixes picked off so far for Cowman. I don't think he's lost any, or possibly 1. Another one going down. His range upgrade did finish first, so he's going to be able to tickle at the ones along the edge just barely. Mothership core going down. Phoenix numbers are starting to dwindle here for Cowman, and he's going to have to back out. And Fleet Beacon did finish over here for Filho. His range is about to finish as well, and the game is going to equalize again. Looks like Cowman lost a few more Phoenix in the end. He got a little bit over-aggressive, but now he's moving out. Going to see that the third is going down, actually. Third going down for Cowman as well. There's a proxy pylon that threatens to do some damage over there, though. Phoenix cruising around the middle of the field, sees these zealots moving across. It's going to be able to pick those up with the other Phoenix. And it looks like those zealots may just be trying to bait the phoenixes into position / keeping a hold of where they are on the map. It's very important with very, very fast units like this that you keep them in vision somehow. And he knows that he has to force the phoenixes back to pick them up, so he now knows where the phoenixes are. He knows where he needs to position. He's not out trying to harass the natural or anything like that. The expansions are going to finish up pretty much at the exact same time. We have armor upgrades going down for both players. Phoenix is still being produced 2 at a time. Cannons going down in mineral lines, and just more mirror. Counts for Phoenixes are slightly in Cowman's favor, and he has a little bit, well, I guess about the same amount of ground army. 2 sentries is really not that big of a deal. Phoenixes scooting over. All right, there's some leading with hallucinated Phoenix. That's what those sentries are good for right there. Those hallucinated Phoenix at the front are going to take quite a few shots. Not a lot, but enough to make a difference in an equal Phoenix count. And Cowman looks like he picks off 1 Phoenix that was rallying across. His reinforcing Phoenix are going to be blocked off, though, so he needs to be careful as well. Both players just microing their hearts out. Picking off reinforcing Phoenix. Cowman getting the better of that. Got 2 reinforcing Phoenix, lost 1 Phoenix, and picked up both of his reinforcing. So doing a very good job there. Cannons going down at the 3rd bases. Up on each side. Mothership core over there at the 3rd for Cowman. And both players... Okay, we now have Cowman working on +1 ground upgrades, adding on 2 more Stargates. Meanwhile, 1 more being added on here for Filho. So they're just going really heavy Stargate play with some Zealot. And we have Cowman starting his 4th base. He's always very poke aggressive, not engage aggressive, and then just macros behind it like crazy. So always pretty interesting to watch him play. Makes me wish I had that same amount of patience when I'm playing Protoss. Generally, I just like to attack a lot. And we have +2 air armor now starting up here for Filho. This Phoenix count is starting to get a little bit ridiculous at about 20 for each side. There's the Dark Shrine. All right, cool. We have some type of other tech finally hitting the field. A 2nd Cybernetics core being started here for Filho, so he's going to be starting on double upgrades here pretty soon. In the meantime, Cowman is transitioning over into more of a ground-based army with his upgrades, which means he's going to start losing these air fights pretty significantly. Phoenix counts engaging across the map right now. So many Phoenixes going down. Filho losing a lot more Phoenixes than Cowman, though. Cowman's control is just a little bit too crisp there. He was actually behind by, I believe, 2 or 3 Phoenixes, and he came out ahead by 4 Phoenixes, so very nicely done by him. Dark Shrine is just about to finish, and he has lots of proxy pylons around the map. He also has a Zealot getting ready to try and block that 4th base, but it doesn't actually block it in time because it chases after the probe because it wasn't on hold position. So now he's going to get lifted up by the fleet of Phoenix. He does die. More Phoenixes out on the field now for Cowman. And here come the first 2 carriers out on the field for Filho. But still producing 3 Phoenix at a time. Even though he's on, I think he's on 4 Stargate right now, so that's pretty interesting, actually. It's not really utilizing that 4th one quite yet. A lot of gateways being added on. Of course, we've seen the upgrades kind of going into that for Cowman. And we have a Dark Templar sneaking in here, seeing what he can do. There's actually no cannons in the in the main. He only built them in his expansions. That's pretty interesting. So maybe a little bit of damage is going to be done here. Big engagement of Phoenixes over here at the 3rd base, engaging over cannons. Cowman is going to be forced to back out, controlling really well here, though. The thing about Cowman's Phoenixes is the better you keep them stacked up, the better you're going to engage, because less of the enemy's Phoenix are going to be able to reach yours, and more of yours are going to reach theirs. So again, he comes out very far ahead on that engagement on Phoenixes, and that's going to really start telling a tale versus the carriers, though they're now being produced 3 at a time over there out of Filho. And now we have Protoss Ground Weapons level 2, which is actually the first time I've seen the new icon. Yay, it's green. It's much easier to tell that it's a different upgrade coming out here for Cowman. Of course, Zealot charge, very, very expected. He's going to be floating more and more minerals as the game goes on, and he has this many bases. So he's going to start dumping those into Zealots and trying to harass bases and things like that. Lots of cannons up here at the 4th base. Is that 6? Yeah, 6 cannons actually at the 4th base. It's a lot of defense. Just, laying it down. Stalkers over here along with a few cannons at the 3rd. Phoenixes for Filho need to be very, very careful. We got some harass with an Oracle over here at the 5th base, 4th base, 4th base of Cowman. And now the Phoenixes are sprinting in, trying to lift up some probes, but actually don't grab any. They just take a few shots from the Photon Cannon and do back out. While the massive fleet of Phoenixes over here for Cowman is just an insane amount of Phoenixes. +3 Protoss air armor is starting up over here for Filho. His carrier count's starting to grow too. He's up to 4. He's producing 3 more right now, so he's going to be up to 7 here pretty soon. I'm not exactly sure how a bunch of Phoenix versus a bunch of carriers go. I would imagine interceptors melt really fast when you're not target firing, and carriers will still melt really fast when you are target firing, so we'll have to see. 32 Phoenixes. This is easily the most Phoenixes I've seen in a game in a long time. That's insane, actually, how many Phoenixes there are. And he actually hasn't gone into any other air upgrades besides Air 1 at all, even with all these Phoenixes. He's starting a Templar Archives. Looks like he's probably been going for gas. We now have Protoss ground weapons level 3 started up. Still doesn't really have a lot of army to back that up. And okay, there we go. Lots of High Templar being warped in. They're going to morph into Archons. Boop. These 2 Templar, they're going to morph into Archons too. He warped in a buddy. Looked like they wanted to be friends. He didn't start, yeah, I was going to say, he didn't start Storm, so he definitely wants them to be Archons. Proxy pylons going up right next to each other over here. It's interesting. Good amount of carriers out in the field, still producing 3 at a time. Another one's about to finish. It's going to be up to 10 soon with +1, +3. Pretty strong carriers are going to be out for our red Protoss player. More Archons being made. I feel like the Interceptors are going to melt really, really fast as long as he can engage over the Archons. The Phoenix and Archon combo is just going to be way too much light / AoE splash damage. Hallucinated Phoenix moving up and seeing that the Phoenix count really hasn't changed in quite a while. So he's got to be knowing that there's some other type of tech going on right now. Ooh, I haven't pressed this button yet. Ooh, that's pretty. That zoom in, zoom out. That's fun. The Z, Shift Z. Pretty awesome. Alright, so Proxy Pylon did get picked off over here. It was kind of in a ridiculous location, trying to block the 5th base. But now Cowman is finally going on the aggressive. +3 ground is going to finish here pretty soon. Archon's moving forward and slapping down those photon cannons with shocky lasers. And the air war starts up with lots of Phoenixes engaging right onto the carriers. They're actually melting pretty fast without the Archons behind them to start dealing AoE damage to the Interceptors. The Archons really need to move forward and start taking out the Interceptors. Interceptors swarming over the Archons, and it looks like Filho's probably going to be winning this fight. Lots of Stalkers being warped in and trying to move forward right now. Archons taking quite a while to die. Stalkers trying to focus fire down the carriers. Quite a few of them going down, but Filho coming out very far ahead in supply here as more of Cowman's army does go down, backing up the carriers over the main nexus to try and keep them alive, prevent them from getting focused, and keeping the photon cannons doing damage. And Filho comes out dramatically ahead there with his 213 upgrades on his carriers versus Cowman's +3 on his ground and only +1 armor on his air. He's just very far behind in upgrades, which as it moves into later and later PvP, upgrades become more and more important. We do have a base advantage here for Cowman right now, though. He's up at 5 bases compared to the just now being reestablished 5th of Filho. That's turning into a pretty sweet game so far. I'd liked that big Phoenix engagement. However, it was a little sad to see them go in without the Archons, who are busy stomping things on the ground like Archons will do. Never hitting the targets you want them to. Giant ball of mutas. Okay, I'll attack roaches. Giant fleet of carriers. I'll attack a nexus. Or interceptors, I guess, would be ideal. Clearing out up there, it is 6th. And it looks like Cowman is going to pick up his 6th as well. He's in the middle of the map, so now both players have all the same bases about to be taken. And then it's just going to be these two down in the south. The mains are pretty much mined out for both sides. The natural's very, very close to being done. Third's starting to get a little bit sparse. Not too bad, though. Cowman has a lot more economy actually rolling, as far as having 70 workers compared to 50. But he is behind overall, which means the difference, there's a 20 difference in supply and a 20 difference in probes. So that means there's a 40 difference in army, and that's a massive amount at this point in the game. When you look at the army supplies, it's 139. I guess that's just active forces. Man, that's annoying. Anyway, there's a lot more for actually Filho out on the field right now. And now he has Tempest, so he'll be able to poke at things from pretty far away, forcing things to engage the carriers, which is always really fun. You just kind of sit back with the Tempest, especially because this map, again, has so much airspace. You can go chill over here and just pick off all of these photon cannons, and the only thing that he could possibly engage with is more air, which, you know, Cowman's really far behind on upgrades for his air, so he's not really going to be able to trade straight up very well. Cowman is now working on level 2 air weapons and shields, though. And carriers, I believe, are considered massive, so they should take extra damage from the Tempests, if I'm thinking correctly. And there's a lot of Tempests out on the field for Cowman right now. There's a lot of Tempests. I feel like he's going to have to very, very precisely focus fire down those carriers, or the interceptors are just going to overwhelm them too fast. Any amount of missed micro is going to make Cowman die very, very quickly, just because unmicroed Tempests are pretty much the worst unit in the game. They like to aim for Zerglings and interceptors. Alright, 6th base running right now for Cowman, staying a little bit ahead in the macro, as we were talking about. He's starting to close the supply gap just barely, not very much, but just barely. It was at about almost, it was pretty 30, and now it's back down to about 20, so. And closing in. Of course, both players about to cap here pretty soon. And Filho's is pretty much exclusively in carriers, though he's starting some Archons behind this, it looks like. Or maybe just Storm, I'm not sure what he's going for right now. Did he finish his Storm upgrade? Where is it? Come on, where's an active unit? Alright, he doesn't have any... Alright, yeah, he's just morphing him into Archons. Alright, so more of them coming across the field, merging them at his forward location. So now it's just going to be a giant Tempest versus Carrier battle in the middle of the field here, with just a few Archons on both sides chilling out underneath, trying to add a little bit more damage. Hallucinated Phoenix spots that entire slow-moving fleet. And I definitely think we're going to have to zoom out for this battle just because of the distance involved with the carriers and the Tempests. And big battle going to be going down over the 6th over here. Trying to pick off carriers along the edge. 1 or 2 of them going down. Interceptors getting scooched back. Yeah, without the zoom out, this would be very hard to keep the shots of the armies going on, considering Tempest range. A few photon cannons actually going down over here for Filho. So he's kind of establishing a forward beachhead over here. Carriers look like they really want to engage on these Tempests. The Tempests trying to slowly get away. And now they're far enough away that the interceptors are pretty much focusing on cannons. Trying to focus as well as he can. Lots of the shots are going on to stalkers on the ground though. And now the carrier is being focused a little bit better. More Tempests moving forward. The Tempest in the back there for Filho dealing a decent amount of damage. But I think the number of Tempests for Cowman is going to win out as all these stalkers are getting warped in. Defensive advantage here. And Cowman cleans up that army almost as handily as he was cleaned up before. And he is now at a dramatic supply lead. He has +3 on his ground. And the bad thing about this for Filho is, like Terran Mech, it takes a very long time to build up a Sky-Toss powerful army. Those carriers took forever to get out on the field. And now that they're all dead, Cowman is going to be able to move out and start picking off bases pretty easily with his own Tempest, which he has quite a few of, and then just kind of moving more into a ground-based army if he wants to, since he has those upgrades available to him. So many Tempests in the back here. GG just being called. Cowman just winning that one engagement. You lose all your carriers like Terran Mech, and it is done. XT taking another game here in this series as we move into game number 3. Thanks for tuning in. This is Lokazi casting for you, and really appreciate SCV Rush taking the time to get this stream up and running for us when I was having issues. And it's going to continue to be on this for the foreseeable future, so stay tuned. Game number 3 should be here pretty soon.